Hello and welcome to Southern Assault Game 5. So this is the final game for the Southern Assault GT, and I was playing Table 1 against Daniel San. So if you've seen my previous videos, what happened was Daniel was a player. He's relatively new to the scene. This is his second grand tournament he's attended. And Daniel, through sheer chance, ended up matched up against three of my Kobra Kai card mates and proceeded to take them out of the game one after the other until finally he's against me, Table 1, Game 5, Daniel San against Kobra Kai. So Daniel San is running High Elves, and he has a surprisingly high comp score. So his comp score is almost exactly the same as mine. So in both cases, the lists are of the softer variety. But what this actually meant in terms of the outcome of this game was that Daniel's comp score was pretty much the same as mine. His battle scores were almost identical at this point. His paint score was excellent, superb looking army, again very similar. So at this point we were really neck and neck in terms of overall points. And the tournament organizers had mentioned to us that I think he needed a 12 to beat me, was what we were thinking at the start of the game. We knew there were some other points that hadn't been considered yet, like sportsmanship doesn't get added until the very end. But we knew that this game was, a win for either side will be a win for the whole tournament. So that's what we were playing for here. The other thing I should mention at this point was that one of the interesting little rules this tournament had added is that we each had a war dice. This allowed us to have one reroll per game. However, we could try and cancel each other's reroll out on a 5+. So onto the game. So I'm going to go through his list. So from left to right, he had a unit of Illyrian Reavers and 2 units of Handmaidens, the ones with the Strength 4 flaming bows. One of them's hidden behind that tower there, so you can't see them. He had a unit of Swordmasters, which are right next to the building there. So hang on, let me use my cursor. So those are the Swordmasters. Next to them, these guys are the, what are they called? Phoenix Guard. And in the Phoenix Guard unit, he has all his characters. So he has Anointed Avessorian, so that's the Phoenix Guard type lord. And he told me afterwards that he took this guy because he's quite good, but he isn't comped very hard, so that helped him get to that high comp score. So he comes in with a built-in 4+ ward save. He also has an Enchanted Shield, a Dawnstone, so he has a rerollable armor save. An Ogre Blade, so Strength 6, and then Kane's Ring of Fury, which is another one of those soul quench spells. When I first was hearing about the High Elves and someone was explaining what the spells did, I misheard what that spell was called. So I thought it was Soul Punch. So I always think of it as Soul Punch. Anyway, he also has a BSB in there, again with a 4+ ward save. The net effect here is that if he casts any high magic, all of these guys with 4+ ward save then go to a 3+ ward save. So that unit more or less has a 3+ ward save. He has 2 high magic mages, one of which is a Dispel Scroll. Okay, moving on, then we have the White Lions here. We have a small unit of archers, a unit of 10 silver helms, and then another Illyrian Reaver unit. And the way he's deployed here, he's got his 3 main combat blocks centrally positioned in such a way that he can support any of them if I charge in. And then he has Illyrian Reavers on either side, archers on either side, and then he has his block of silver helms out there behind the Illyrian Reavers. I was quite surprised he put the silver helm so far away from his general BSB to begin with, and that turned out to be important in a minute. After that, so my deployment, I placed really. I put my keeper and my main chariot within the woods. I'm trying to keep, the chariot wasn't in the woods, but one of my big, I say big, 80-strong demonette units in the wood. I'm trying to protect them from shooting. I put my big chariot behind my furies. I'm trying to use them as living shields. The big chariot is The banner doesn't count for height, so the big chariot is 50% covered, and it's surprisingly enough not a large target. Then I put Fiends and Seekers on either side, so those are my fast units, and then I've put some Demonettes over on the flank on the left of the picture there, so I can try and hold off on his fast elements there. His Silverhounds in particular is what I was worried about. Okay, so in the first turn, he vanguarded up with his Illyrian Reavers. I charged them with my small chariot, and he fled as a response. And what happened was their flee path took them through the unit of Silverhounds. The Silverhounds then immediately failed their panic check and ran off the board. So that flee maneuver with the Illyrian Reavers then cost him his whole unit of Silverhounds turn one before he's even done anything. So that was a pretty big blow for the High Elves right off the bat there. On this side, I'm trying to block. What's happening? Oh, those Illyrian Reavers have also fled. They fled from, I think, my Seekers. So I'm using the Furies to try and gum up his movement as much as I can, and his shooting. I'm trying to block those sisters from being able to shoot. There's actually that lone sister standing there all on her own was the remnant of a 10-strong unit. What happened was I rolled on the Winds of Magic and rolled, I think, Tzeentch's Firestorms. So a number of units got attacked, and most of them scattered, but one of them hit direct on that unit and took out 9 out of 10 of those Sisters of Avalon. So as you can see, I've moved up at this point. I'm trying to keep within that sort of range where I can achieve a good charge without getting charged in return with those High Elves. And over on this side, so he has archers over there hanging out, and his main units have stayed pretty static. So in his turn, he rallies those Illyrian Reavers, so he turns them around, and they get to move up again because they're fast cav. Again, same deal over here. Illyrian Reavers rally, and then they get to move because they're fast cav. But I don't think they got to march. I think they failed their march test possibly here is what's happened. And he fired those sisters at the big chariot, but didn't do an awful lot. He's firing through intervening models and at long range. Even Sisters of Avalon with their Ballistic Skill 5 have trouble with that. So on this side, his Illyrian Reavers have moved up to threaten my Metal Mage, who is on her own. She doesn't have a lookout sir or anything like that. So they shoot my mage, 5 shot, strength 3, manages to get 2 wounds past my armor and my ward, and my mage drops dead. So that made me a little sad there. So over on this side, this is now my turn again. And pretty much at this point, I'm within a respectable charge range. Not easy, but not completely outlandish either. So I pretty much charge everything. Trying to get something in. Throw enough mud, at the wall. Something's going to stick. So I charged my fiends into the fast cav, which fled again. I tried to get my big chariot into the swordmasters. If I could smash through there and get behind his lines, then he's going to have a real problem dealing with that. I tried to charge my infantry into his main unit. That was a long shot. I think I needed an 11, but hey, why not give it a try? My keeper and my fiends into his white lions again. I should be able to trash them very fast and then overrun. What actually happened? Every single one failed. I mean, the Reaver fled, but everyone else held, and I just simply failed all those charges. Nothing happened. So I was a little deflated. I would have happily liked to get, especially the fiends, into the White Lions. They would have made a mess of the White Lions. Now the White Lions don't strike first anymore. The fiends are actually faster than White Lions, so. Yeah, that was something I was kind of keen on happening there. So, One charge I did make. I did charge the chariot into the Illyrian Reavers, take revenge for my sorcerer being killed. He didn't flee. The only reason he didn't flee was because he would have, from that angle, he would have simply gone off the board. So, not much chance of standing up against that chariot, but some chance is better than no chance. I think what actually happened was he survived the first round, managed to pass his break check, but then wasn't able to reform and then was killed in the second round. So I didn't take a picture of this turn. So he took. Basically, what happened was he moved both his Swordmasters back and his White Lions back, and then reformed his Phoenix Guard to protect them. He could see that the danger of me hitting those units and then getting behind his lines was too great. So what he did was simply protect them with the Phoenix Guard. Phoenix Guard had the two mages. The mage does a soul punch against my chariot. This is horrendous. I've never played against this. I have played the new High Elves, but I have not seen that soul punch spell in action. And like 46 strength 4 is not something that my poor chariot can handle. He pushed it through, got an irresistible force. I think he got maybe 2, maybe 3 irresistible forces in the first few games with that soul punch, and he hit the chariot. He actually got most of the hits on the chariot, and only a couple went on the BSB. He managed to do 2 wounds past my save on the BSB. I used my war dice for the reroll, and I still didn't get it. And so my BSB died from the soul quench. My chariot was still alive, took a few wounds. And of course that meant his Phoenix Guard now have a 3+ ward save for the next turn. However, he did manage to Dimensional Cascade one of his wizards, so that was kind of nice. So in my next turn, I declared a charge on the Phoenix Guard. I had to think about this, and I gave it due consideration. I mean, what I could have done was try and move around. Pick off its smaller units and just never engage that Phoenix Guard unit. And I probably could have pulled that off if I wanted to. But I am not good at playing for the small wins. I'm always going to take things head on. So in the end, I decided I was just going to go all in, and I was just going to throw everything I could at those Phoenix Guards. So my big chariot went in, my Greater Demon went in, and my Fiends of Slanesh went in. And the nice thing about what he'd done, because he had reformed out to protect his White Lions and his Swordmasters, it meant that I was safe for at least one turn before he could countercharge me, because there was no way he was going to be able to reform smaller, because that would bring models out of combat, and those units were being blocked by the presence of the Phoenix Guards. So while he had protected those units, he wasn't. He was also limiting their ability to bring their arms to bear. Also, I managed to get a charge with one of my smaller Demonate units against his 15-strong archer unit. He shot me, he stood and shot, he still only did a couple of wounds to me, so they were in trouble for sure. And then over at the very top of the picture there, you can see the Seekers of Slanesh have charged Sisters of Avalon. The Sisters of Avalon are actually on the hill, couldn't get them to balance, so the Seekers are in the right place, the Sisters of Avalon are actually just a little bit down. And I again, this is my first time playing as the Sisters of Avalon, and they are they're pretty hard. I was very surprised at how nasty they were. So yeah, things weren't going to end well for those Seekers. And in fact, the last one Seeker, the very last Sister of Avalon went charged into my Furies and actually managed to do a few wounds and survive for quite a while before they finally got her. I really thought she was going to take out the unit, in fact. I was surprised when she didn't. That's a little Rambo by herself there. So the outcome of this turn, first of all, I rolled for Winds of Magic, and I rolled a 5. And I got greedy. I wanted some more spells. I was very sad my BSB died, because not only was she useful, I could challenge out a single model, take them out of combat, make sure my keeper could attack the rank and file. But she also rolled Mind Razor for that game, so that could have helped a bit as well. To be honest, elves are on toughness 3. I guess Mind Razor wouldn't help that much, but it I felt the pinch. I also didn't roll Cacophonic Caress for my spells, and I didn't roll Acquiescence. So I really felt like I was very limited in what spells I could try and use. I was pretty much just going Phantasmagoria every turn because it was the only spell that was of any use. I think I had Slicing Shards or and the Leadership Check or Take a Wound. I can't remember. Purveying or Slanesh. So both of those were ranged attack spells, so I couldn't really use them. So once I was in combat, I was stuck just trying to get Phantasmagoria off. And with my character and my chariot dead, the only model that could accept challenges was my keeper. So in combat, he challenged with the anointed, and obviously I had to accept with the keeper. But getting ahead of myself, so in the magic phase I rolled a 5, and I really wanted to try and get 6 dice Phantasmagoria. I really wanted to try and do something there, or maybe get a +1 ward save, or something that would help me out in this combat. So I used my Chromatic Tome, I rerolled it, I got a 4. And a 4 for the Winds of Magic is the absolute worst for result as far as I'm concerned for demons. Maybe double 1s is worse, but a 4 is -1 ward save. So suddenly my entire army went from a 5+ ward save to a 6+ ward save. So effectively halved the number of successes I'm going to get. And that was bad. That was not what I wanted to see. So my Fiends attacked his unit. They were actually, I was allocating against that mage there. You can see with the free hand on his banner, on his cloak. And I don't think I was able to kill him the first round. I think 4 Fiends managed to do 1 wound or something like that. Some silly lack of wounds. My keeper attacked the anointed, managed to pop a wound through, but that was it. My chariot just failed to do any impact. Say I rolled something low, like 3 or 4 wounds, hits rather, and they just bounced off the ward save. So my big charge was just faltered completely, and my keeper was unable to do more than 1 wound to the anointed. Even with Thunderstomp, the anointed attack back did me a wound. So the net result was a push, basically. I can't remember. One of us may have won, but if that was the case, but we stuck. So so this combat followed through to the next turn, and really this combat took several turns to resolve. He eventually killed my chariot. I only had a few wounds left after all the soul quenching. I did manage to finally get his other mage, so he's now down to no mages. His only spell he had remaining was the bound spell on its anointed, which he couldn't use. So finally he wouldn't be getting the 3+ ward save anymore, but this is after, I'm only getting a 6+ ward save. It's not much of a trade-off there. He wasn't doing a lot of good against the Fiends, only a couple of wounds done at this point. He's moved his Swordmasters and his White Lions. He said to reform them, try and get them past their parent unit and maybe able to get some damage in next turn. Keeper is still engaged in this big combat with the Anointed of Assyrian. The Anointed does a couple of wounds to me. I don't have the ward save to try and stop him. I'm still hitting him back, jumping up and down, thunderstomping him. He's still got his 3+ ward save. It's just not getting through. So finally, I'm able to bring the cavalry. So a large unit of my demonettes. This unit is the only 18-strong demonette unit of that's been unscathed this game. Managed to get them into the Swordmasters. I was pretty happy about that. I figured that I could do enough wounds to the Swordmasters. I was able to bring my chariot in, charge the White Lions. I didn't think I would win, but my thought was hopefully I can take off a rank. Since they fight in 3 ranks, they're, every White Lion I kill is a White Lion less attacking. And if they're going to go into the Fiends next turn, then I really want to be able to reduce them as much as possible, especially since the Fiends are going to be allocating their attacks against them. So this is the same deal from another angle. You can see the Swordmasters fighting the Demonettes at the top, and then this sort of big combat in the middle. Obviously, the archers died, but they were able to hold on long enough to prevent me from being able to reform in his turn and then charge. So my Demonettes weren't able to join that combat and attack the White Lions just yet, which was unfortunate. Because if that was the case, I could have broken those White Lions, killed them, and then run into the flank of the Phoenix Guard, which would be much of much benefit over there. Although that said, White Lions are stubborn. He only had to have one guy remaining in order for to stick. So, so at this point, he's reformed his main unit, brought them into a smaller frontage. I've actually managed to kill a bunch of the Phoenix Guard. My chariot does a bunch of wounds to those White Lions. He does some wounds back in return. Managed to do only 3 wounds. So my chariot actually survived that charge. And the Swordmasters managed to hold, but they are... and they reform so he can get as many attacks as possible, basically. So he's done a few wounds to my unit. The big unit filler is a bit of a problem when it comes to removing models. I've got to get some spare Demonettes to be able to put in. But so he's done a couple of wounds to my unit. But I still think that combat's going to win. It would have been nice to kill them all or break them in the first turn, so I'd be able to... or rather, what I really want to do is to kill them all this turn, reform, and then I'll be able to charge the flank. So... and this is the same deal from another angle. And so this was the final epic combat. I mean, this was a huge deal, whether or not his Anointed could get me. At this point, I'm still attacking his Anointed. He's only got a couple of wounds left, maybe only 1. I'm down to only just 1 wound left because he's got the Ogre Blade. He's hitting me strength 6. I've got a 6+ ward save. I regain my 5+ ward save back. This round, I attack him again. And I managed to get 2 wounds past his armor save and his ward save, and that was his last wound. But he still had his war dice. He rolled his war dice. He managed to get that 3+ ward. I wasn't able to cancel out his war dice with my war dice, and his Azurian was saved from certain death. So his Anointed then turned around, attacked the Keeper of Secrets, and was able to slay the monster. So the High Elf was able to prevail in this epic combat. And this combat lasted for, I don't know how many rounds of combat. I mean, I was, 6 attacks each round, plus D6 thunderstorms that just all hit him because it's a challenge. I mean, this was an epic battle. So, Keeper died. Fiends took a bunch of wounds from combat resolution, but they didn't disappear. The chariot got killed by the White Lions. And then the Swordmasters at the top, I was trying to remember what they were called, were killed by the Demonettes. And I think what happened was over one combat, they broke and I ran them down. So at this point, we were running low on time. Daniel wanted to call it at the end of this turn, so we both had an even number of turns. I don't know how it would have gone if we'd kept playing. It would have been interesting to see, because I think those White Lions were doomed, but whether or not I could save the Fiends is another question. So at this point, we needed to total up the points. And we worked it out, and then we added, it was really close, so we added them up again, and I realized that actually he hadn't killed my BSB in close combat, so we didn't get the +100 for that. So the net result ended up being this. So High Elves won the game, but by the smallest of margins. It was an 11-9 victory. So Daniel Sand beat me, and he managed to beat all 4 of us in the 4 of the Kobra Kai that he faced. So then it came to the final. So here is Daniel Sand wins. But the thing was, he needed a 12. We knew he needed a 12. So the final result of the tournament was that I was able to take best overall, and by a tiny margin. It was only a couple of points between me and Daniel San. In fact, I think Quiz was probably the biggest contributing factor to me beating him in points. So it was Quiz points alone pushed me over the top against Daniel San. And so here you can see, Daniel San, this is his headband. He turned up on day 2 on the Sunday morning with the headband, and they'd found a T-shirt or something and a red permanent marker and made the headband. So the other awards, so Daniel San got Best General. And that game at the table won because Best General included comp points. It really was, by that point, we were fighting for Best Overall and Best General. Unless someone got a spectacular win from one of the table 2 or table 3. Ken got Best Sportsman. That was nice to see. Ken's always a great guy to play against. Really fun. I was happy to see he got Best Sportsman. Jerry got Best Painted with his Empire Army. So he's been working on that Empire Army for a long time. He's got a blimp with a sort of freehand twin-tail comment on it that uses a Hurricanum usually. Gurn, actually, who was my first round opponent with the Orcs and Goblins, with the giant who's flipping you off, got the Best Hobbyist. So this was painting and comp. So he had a comp 20 army and obviously managed to get the best, a very good paint score. And then it came to club. So we had within the club award the 3 big players. There is the Fancy Lads who have been gunning for the club award for quite a while. And I know they fought hard and for that club award. Then there's the Foul guys. So there's the I think of them as the Trauma Hawk and the Bruising Sparrows, but collectively they're the Foul Gamers, and they were very close in points to Kobra Kai. In the end, it was 1 point between Kobra Kai and Foul, and the Kobra Kai were able to just steal away the club award. So that's the outcome. The venue is great. This was Atomic Empire. It has the live streaming on table 1, which is really fun. It's a little bit weird playing with the with the webcam setup. The knowledge that people are actually out there, and maybe not many, but there are people out there watching, and I'd get text messages from friends talking about the game. But it's nice. You've got a sort of sense of community out there, and my wife will watch the games and know what I'm doing when I'm away for the whole weekend. The organization was great. Dan and Chad did a great job. I know that using Swedish comp is a chore because not only do you have to check the army list, but you have to check their comp scores. And most people can get the army list right, especially if you're using Army Builder. But then the comp score is sometimes very convoluted, and some of it is not so clear. I have to say, overall, I'm a huge fan of Swedish comp. I know it takes a bit more work for the organizers, and I think props to them for doing such a great job. I mean, they checked every single list, and they came back with they told you if you'd made an error here, there, or whatever. But the net effect for the tournament, I think, for Swedish comp is brilliant. I think the ability, the variety you see in lists, all these cool units, shagoths, things that you wouldn't normally see that you can field. Then again, if you want to field your usual Chaos Army with all the chariots, you can do. I think that's a great variety. And I think of all the comp systems, Swedish comp is definitely my favorite. I would say for this tournament, the way they set it up, the 16-4, I think it might have been better if it was a 20-0 system. The reason being, so 16-4 is really a 12-0. The way I look at it, everybody gets those 4 points. Anyway, you can just deduct 4 points from everybody's game, and the rankings are going to stay exactly the same. So you get a 15-5. That's really an 11-1. It's a 12-point spread. So in reality, instead of 16 points per round, everyone's getting 12 points per round. Then the 20 points for comp seem to be a lot more valuable. In fact, twice as valuable compared to if it was a 20-0 system almost, because the spread is only 12 points rather than 20 points. But I think overall, the effect we saw on the armies was a lot of fun. I think bringing a soft army was more rewarded for this tournament, and this wasn't something I'd really. I was going to bring a soft army anyway. I'd pretty much decided I wanted to run something different to my usual builds. Especially with the new Demon book, where I haven't got any of the corn cannons or anything like that. But it worked out for me very well, which was that I'd front loaded the soft score so high, and Daniel-san as well, that if you didn't have a high comp score, once you've added in the paint score and the quiz and sports, the battle scores, you'd have to do really well to be able to make up for that. If you start with a low comp score. So that's pretty much it for Southern Assault. Next tournament I'm going to be going to will be the Nova Open in Washington. So I'm looking forward to that. That's in a few weeks. That's it. Thanks for listening. Okay.